Ladies and gentlemen, let me hit you with something real. We are living in a world where comfort is killing ambition. Most people are walking around half asleep, scrolling, binging, wasting time, and wondering why life feels empty. But not you. You're here. And that means something. It means deep down, you know there's more. You feel it, that fire, that itch, that call to level up. Today, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. This isn't about motivation posters or soft advice. This is about truth. 12 things. 12 core areas of your life that, if you don't improve them, you will stay stuck. But if you do, if you commit, you build the kind of future most people only fantasize about. So buckle up. No filters, no fluff, just real talk. Because the future you want, it's on the other side of who you're willing to become. Your mindset is the foundation of everything in your life. It shapes the way you see challenges, opportunities, and even yourself. If your mindset is weak, negative, or limited, nothing else you do will matter in the long run. You could have all the tools, all the resources, and all the time in the world, but without the right mental framework, you will self-sabotage, procrastinate, make excuses, and settle for less than you're capable of. That's just how it works. Your mind is the filter through which you experience the world, and if that filter is cracked, distorted, or dirty, your entire perception becomes skewed. Now, mastering your mindset isn't about being blindly positive. It's not about pretending things are great when they're not. It's about choosing power over victimhood. It's about deciding every day that you're responsible for how you respond to life, not just when things go your way, but especially when they don't. Because life will punch you in the face. It will test you. It will throw chaos, failure, rejection, and pain your way. The people who thrive aren't the ones who avoid those things. They're the ones who are mentally trained to deal with them. Most people walk around with self-limiting beliefs that were programmed into them early on by their family, school, culture, or past experiences. I'm not smart enough. I'm too old. I've failed too many times. These beliefs become walls inside their minds, invisible barriers that dictate what they do and don't go after. But the truth is, you weren't born with those beliefs. They were learned. And anything learned can be unlearned. Reprogramming your mindset starts with awareness. You have to catch the thoughts that limit you. You have to hear that little voice inside your head that says, you can't, and question it. Where did it come from? Is it even true? Most of the time it's not. It's just fear dressed up in logic. Your brain is designed to keep you safe, not successful. It loves comfort, routine, and predictability, but growth only happens in discomfort. You have to override the default programming by intentionally choosing thoughts that serve your goals, not your fears. Another crucial piece is self-talk. The way you speak to yourself matters. You can't bully yourself into greatness. You can't constantly tell yourself that you're not good enough and expect to rise. Your internal dialogue becomes your identity. You have to start talking to yourself like someone you're trying to build up, not tear down. That means shifting from I can't to I'm learning, from I'm stuck to I'm figuring it out. That one shift over time rewires your brain and changes your behavior. Then there's the power of focus. Whatever you focus on expands. If you're always focused on problems, you'll find more of them. If you focus on possibilities, you'll start to notice opportunities you were blind to before. Your brain has a filtering system called the reticular activating system. It literally tunes into what you tell it is important. If you constantly tell it that you're a failure or that life is hard, that's what it will look for. But if you tell it that you're improving, growing, and capable, it'll start pulling in evidence to match that story. Finally, mindset mastery requires consistency. You can't flip the switch once and expect it to stick. This is a daily process. It's in your habits, your choices, your reactions, and the way you handle discomfort. You have to treat your mindset like a muscle. You train it through repetition, exposure, and challenge. You read, you reflect, you push yourself, you get uncomfortable, and you keep going. Discipline is the bridge between goals and results. Motivation is great. It can give you a spark, a jolt of energy, a feeling of excitement to get started. But motivation is fleeting. It comes and goes like a mood. And if you build your habits or your future around moods, you'll never get consistent outcomes. That's where discipline comes in. Discipline is showing up when you don't feel like it. It's doing what needs to be done, regardless of how excited or unmotivated you are. Discipline is what builds greatness, while motivation just starts the engine. Most people wait to feel inspired before they act. They wait until everything feels right, until the timing is perfect, until they feel pumped, until the stars align. But that moment rarely comes. And if you wait for it, you'll be stuck in the same place year after year, wondering why nothing is changing. Discipline doesn't care about your feelings. It doesn't ask if you're tired, bored, or distracted. It just requires you to commit and execute. That's why it's powerful. Because once you rely on discipline, you no longer need to rely on external hype. It starts with clarity. You can't be disciplined if you don't know exactly what you want and what actions will get you there. Discipline is direction plus effort. You need to be intentional with your time, energy, and focus. You can't wing it. You can't live your life randomly and expect meaningful results. So the first step is setting clear, specific goals and identifying the habits that align with those goals. Once that foundation is set, discipline becomes a matter of consistency, not intensity. You don't need to go hard once. You need to go steady always. There's a myth that discipline is about being rigid or robotic, but it's actually about freedom. Real freedom comes from self-control, not indulgence. When you're disciplined, you're not ruled by cravings, distractions, or impulses. You become the one in charge. You choose what matters most over what feels good in the moment. That means waking up when the alarm goes off, not snoozing it. It means saying no to shortcuts and yes to long-term payoffs. It means following your own code, even when no one's watching. Integrity, that's strength. And the thing is, discipline is built through repetition. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, no matter how small, you reinforce your identity as someone who follows through. Every time you push through resistance, you build mental toughness. You can't wait to become disciplined. You have to train for it. You have to start with small wins. Make your bed. Finish the workout. Write the page. Show up. Stack those wins. And over time, you build momentum. That's the secret, not giant leaps, but consistent action. The biggest enemy of discipline is distraction. We live in a world where everything is trying to steal your attention. Notifications, entertainment, endless scrolling. It's all designed to keep you passive and reactive. But discipline means taking control back. It means setting boundaries, creating systems, and guarding your focus like your future depends on it. Because it does. When you eliminate distractions, you create space for deep work, for meaningful progress. And when you protect your time, you stop giving your energy to things that don't move you forward. Another key part of discipline is learning how to act without negotiation. The moment you start debating with yourself, should I skip today? Maybe I'll do it later. You're already losing. Discipline doesn't negotiate, it executes. You don't ask yourself how you feel. You don't open the door to excuses. You commit ahead of time, and when the time comes, you act. That habit of immediate action builds resilience. It builds self-trust. It tells your brain when we say we're going to do something, we do it. Discipline also means playing the long game. It's not about instant results. It's about stacking effort day after day, knowing that the payoff will come. It's about embracing the grind, not just the glory. It's about doing boring work, repetitive drills, early mornings, late nights, and not quitting just because progress is slow or invisible. That's the part no one wants to talk about. That's what separates the average from the exceptional. Your environment is silently shaping who you are becoming every single day. Most people underestimate the power of their surroundings. They think success is all about willpower, discipline, or drive. But the truth is, your environment is either reinforcing your growth or slowly pulling you back into mediocrity. It influences your habits, your mindset, your energy, and even your expectations for yourself. If you surround yourself with chaos, distraction, and negativity, it becomes almost impossible to rise above that and stay focused on your goals. But when you intentionally shape your environment for success, you give yourself a huge advantage. Look around your physical space. Is it organized, clean, and designed to support your goals? Or is it cluttered, noisy, and full of distractions that pull you away from what matters? Your space reflects your standards. A clean, minimal, purposeful environment leads to a sharper, more focused mind. It becomes easier to think, to create, to stay locked in. When your surroundings are chaotic, your mental bandwidth gets drained by things that shouldn't even be on your radar. Your physical environment is either lifting you up or dragging you down, and you're either designing it with intention or letting it default into disorder. But it's not just the physical, it's also the digital. Most people spend more time in the digital world than the real one, and yet they let it be flooded with noise. If your phone is buzzing every 5 minutes, if your social feeds are filled with drama, gossip, and highlight reels, you are consuming a mental diet that weakens your focus and feeds insecurity. You need to curate your digital space like your life depends on it. Follow people who inspire you, who educate you, who push you. Unfollow anything that distracts, drains, or dilutes your energy. Your attention is your most valuable currency. Stop spending it on junk. And then there's the people. This is the most powerful part of your environment, and often the hardest to change. Who you surround yourself with determines what you normalize. If the people in your circle are lazy, negative, and constantly making excuses, you will either shrink to fit in or feel like a misfit for trying to grow. On the other hand, if you're surrounded by high standards, ambition, and honesty, you're forced to rise. The conversations you hear daily will either challenge your limits or reinforce your limitations. You become like the people you spend the most time with, whether you realize it or not. You need to audit your circle with ruthless honesty. Who energizes you? Who drains you? Who challenges you? Who holds you accountable? This doesn't mean cutting everyone off, but it does mean protecting your mental space. You don't need to explain your growth to people who aren't committed to their own. You're not obligated to stay small to make others comfortable. Seek out people who are ahead of you in some way, mentally, professionally, emotionally. Learn from them. Let their mindset rub off on you. Proximity is power. Being around excellence forces you to level up, just like being around mediocrity pulls you down. Also consider the emotional tone of your environment. Is it a place of stress and pressure, or is it a space where creativity, clarity, and ambition can thrive? If your environment constantly triggers survival mode, you won't be able to think long term. You'll always be reacting instead of building. You need to create an environment that helps you feel calm, focused, and capable. That might mean setting routines, adding structure, removing noise, or even creating little rituals that signal it's time to work or grow. Your environment should be designed to support your future, not distract you from it. It should be aligned with your goals, your values, and your mission. Every part of it, from the books on your shelf to the people in your phone, should serve the person you are becoming. You can't control everything, but you can control enough to make a massive difference. We live in a time where information is endless and distractions are everywhere. The ability to focus, to cut through the noise, has become one of the most valuable skills you can develop. Clarity is not something that just happens. It's something you fight for. Most people are drowning in options, opinions, and endless scrolling, and because of that, they move through life reacting instead of creating. When you lack clarity, you chase everything and achieve nothing. You start projects, set vague goals, dabble in habits, and end up burned out with nothing solid to show for it. Clarity begins with knowing what you actually want. Not what sounds good, not what impresses other people, but what actually matters to you. That takes honesty. Most people never slow down long enough to ask themselves the hard questions. What kind of life do I want alive? What am I willing to struggle for? What does success mean to me? Without those answers, you end up chasing someone else's dream or settling into a life you never consciously chose. Clarity gives you direction. It turns your energy into something focused instead of scattered. Once you know what you want, you need to cut everything that doesn't align with that vision. This is where most people hesitate. They want clarity but refuse to let go of distractions. They say yes to everything and wonder why they never have time. They follow 100 voices and wonder why their own voice gets drowned out. You have to get ruthless about what earns your attention. That means turning down opportunities that don't fit. That means saying no to people, habits, and even thoughts that lead you away from your purpose. Simplicity is power. When you stop doing what doesn't matter, what does matter becomes obvious. Your calendar, your daily routines, your phone, your physical space, every single one of these things either supports your clarity or sabotages it. Look at your schedule. Is it filled with high-leverage actions that move you closer to your vision, or is it cluttered with low-value tasks that keep you busy but not productive? Clarity requires intention. It means choosing what to focus on, not just reacting to what's urgent. Urgency is the enemy of clarity. When you're always in a rush, always distracted, you lose sight of the bigger picture. You stop thinking and start reacting. Mental clarity is also tied to emotional clarity. If your mind is clouded with unresolved emotions, resentment, fear, doubt, you won't be able to see clearly. That's why internal work is so important. Journaling, meditation, deep reflection, these practices aren't just spiritual fluff. They are tools to clear the mental fog. They help you separate what you feel from what is real. They help you identify patterns, question beliefs, and get to the truth of what's holding you back. The more you understand your own mind, the more clarity you gain about your decisions, your direction, and your values. Another layer of clarity comes from execution. You don't get full clarity by thinking about things forever. You get it by acting. Take a step, get feedback, adjust. Action creates data. You can't figure it all out in your head. The moment you take action, you gain insight. That's why perfectionism is dangerous. It keeps you stuck in theory. Clarity doesn't mean having all the answers. It means knowing the next move and making it. From there, the next step becomes clearer. Clarity is built in motion, not just meditation. You also need to protect your mental space from noise masquerading as wisdom. Everyone has advice. Everyone has an opinion, but not all of it applies to you. Learn to filter. Ask, is this advice based on experience or just opinion? Does this align with my values and goals? Or is it pulling me off course? You don't need more input. You need better filters. Too much input without reflection leads to confusion, not clarity. Choose your mentors, books, podcasts, and influences wisely. Let fewer voices speak into your life, but let those voices be strong, tested, and aligned with where you want to go. In today's world, your value is directly tied to the skills you bring to the table. The marketplace doesn't care about your intentions, your dreams, or your potential. It cares about what you can do, how well you can do it, and how consistently you can deliver. Skills are what separate wishful thinkers from action takers. They are the tools that allow you to build, solve problems, and create opportunities for yourself. If you want a better future, you need to become obsessed with leveling up your skill set because that's what keeps you competitive, relevant, and in demand. People often talk about chasing passion, but passion without skill is just noise. Skill turns passion into power. It's not enough to love something. You have to get good at it. You have to put in the reps. You have to study, practice, fail, and come back sharper. Mastery doesn't come from dabbling. It comes from discipline. The difference between those who rise and those who stay stuck often comes down to who is willing to stick with the boring, repetitive grind of skill development. That's the real game, not the excitement of starting, but the discipline of refining. The world is changing fast, and so are the skills that matter. What worked 5 years ago might be outdated today. If you're not growing, you're falling behind. The most successful people are learners at their core. They're always upgrading, always evolving, always hungry for that edge. They don't wait until they're forced to adapt. They stay ahead by choosing to. Whether it's learning a new language, understanding new technology, improving communication, building leadership, or diving deep into your craft, the commitment to learning keeps your future wide open. One of the biggest lies people believe is that they're not naturally talented enough. But talent is overrated. It might give you a head start, but it won't carry you across the finish line. What matters more is how obsessed you are with improving. That obsession creates progress, and progress builds confidence. The truth is, most people don't lack ability. They lack consistency. They try something for a few weeks, then quit when it gets hard. But skills aren't built in weeks. They're built in months and years of deliberate practice, feedback, and refinement. You don't rise to the level of your dreams. You rise to the level of your training. You also need to diversify your skills. Don't just be good at one thing. Be dangerously capable in multiple areas. Learn how to think, how to sell, how to communicate, how to lead, how to execute. The more tools you have, the more problems you can solve, and the more value you bring. That makes you indispensable. In any industry, in any economy, the person who can solve problems is the one who wins. So if you want more opportunity, build more capability. Stack your skills like weapons in an arsenal. Skill development also requires feedback. You can't improve in a vacuum. You need coaches, mentors, critics, people who will push you, challenge you, and tell you the truth. The ego hates feedback, but the future version of you depends on it. Don't take it personally, take it seriously. Use it to get sharper, faster, better. The faster you can identify your blind spots, the faster you grow. That kind of self-awareness combined with relentless practice is what creates elite performers. Time spent on skill building is never wasted. It compounds. Every hour you spend learning today pays off in ways you can't even see yet. Maybe it gets you the job, opens a door, starts a business, or creates freedom. Maybe it's the difference between surviving and thriving. The world rewards competence. It rewards those who can step in and deliver under pressure. If you're not getting the results you want, it's not always about trying harder. It might be about getting better. Your habits are the invisible architecture of your life. Every single day, whether you realize it or not, you're building your future by what you choose to do repeatedly. It's not the big decisions made once a year that shape your destiny. It's the small choices made every day on autopilot that compound into your results. The way you wake up, how you spend your first hour, what you eat, how you move, how you speak to yourself, how much time you waste or invest, all of these are habits, and they either push you forward or hold you back. Most people think they need more motivation when what they actually need is better systems. Habits are systems. They remove the need for constant decision-making and willpower. When something becomes a habit, it's automatic. That's why your habits either make success inevitable or they make failure guaranteed. If your habits align with your goals, progress happens naturally. But if your habits contradict your vision, you create resistance, self-sabotage, and frustration, even if your intentions are good. You don't get what you want. You get what you repeat. Habits start with awareness. You can't change what you're not conscious of. That means paying attention to your routines. What are you doing every morning, every night, during your breaks, when you're stressed, when you're bored? Those patterns tell the truth about what you're actually committed to. Many people say they want to grow, but their habits show they're committed to comfort, distraction, and short-term pleasure. Real transformation begins when you stop lying to yourself about your behavior and start tracking what you actually do. Changing your habits doesn't mean overhauling your life overnight. In fact, that usually backfires. The key is starting small but specific. Tiny changes done consistently lead to big shifts. Wake up 30 minutes earlier, read 10 pages a day, do 20 minutes of exercise, write down your goals. These aren't massive actions, but they rewire your brain. They shift your identity from someone who talks about change to someone who follows through. Momentum builds not from intensity, but from consistency. And once you start stacking wins, even small ones, you build self-trust. And that changes everything. There's a deeper psychological layer to habits, too. Every habit is a vote for the kind of person you believe you are. If you work out daily, you begin to see yourself as disciplined. If you journal every night, you start to see yourself as mindful and intentional. That identity shift is where the real power comes from. You're not just changing what you do. You're changing who you are. You don't have to wait until you feel like a high performer to start acting like one. You act like it first, and the mindset follows. Environment plays a huge role in habit formation. If your environment is full of triggers for distraction, phones, clutter, noise, then even strong willpower will eventually crack. But if you design your surroundings to support your habits, the path of least resistance becomes the path of progress. That might mean removing apps, preparing your meals in advance, setting reminders, or having accountability. Make the good habits easy to start and the bad habits hard to continue. Structure beats willpower. Every time, there's also power in replacing habits, not just removing them. If you just try to stop scrolling, stop procrastinating, stop eating junk, you leave a void. That void creates anxiety and eventually leads you right back to the old behavior. But if you replace the habit with something positive, you give your brain a new groove to follow. Instead of scrolling, read. Instead of junk food, prepare a protein shake. Instead of complaining, journal something you're grateful for. Habit change is a game of substitution, not just elimination. You also need to track your habits. What gets measured gets managed. Don't just guess. Write it down. Keep a log. See your streaks. Reward your progress. Data creates clarity, and clarity builds momentum. When you track your habits, you stay honest, you stay engaged, you stay in control.